One of the best things about having goats is composted goat manure and their hay. If you're like me and you enjoy gardening, growing your own food, not using commercial fertilizer, and knowing where your fertilizer comes from, then this is perfect for you. Take a look at it up close. See the goat pellets? That's the goat poop. You can pick it up. I mean, they only eat vegetation, so it's not like, you know, something that eats meat. It's really easy to handle. What we do is we clean out their little stalls and where they live at, and we take this and we let it compost out here on top of the ground, and we usually leave it here for several months, and then around spring when it's time to start getting our beds ready to replant, we take all of this and we move it into the beds. If you like to fish down here in South Carolina where we're at, by laying this on the ground, you're going to have a lot of worms that crawl up in it, and you know, they eat what's in it, and then they make worm castings or worm poop, and that's excellent fertilizer for your beds. So let me just show you. I'm going to take you over here. I'm going to cut it off for a second. I'm going to move over here to 3 of my raised beds and show you how I use this. Okay, so here we are over at the raised beds. So the way I made these beds was, you can see they're just made with wood that I bought from Home Depot or Lowe's or somewhere, but we don't prepare the ground that we sit the boxes on. What I do is I build the box out of this wood. I set it right on top of the ground, right on top of the grass. I don't worry about digging into it or anything like that, and I move the composted goat hay and manure that I showed you into the boxes before I plant. So it sits here and it composts in the boxes, like in the winter months, for example, and I'll just leave it here, say 4 months. I'll move it here as I clean out their stalls. I'll put it in these boxes and I'll just let it sit here. So it kills the grass under there, smothers it out, and it draws the worms up into these beds so that they can, you know, eat the whatever they eat in here, and compost it, help to compost it. So once spring gets around, I start my seedlings in those 2 cold frames over there, and then I pick the ones that I want and I move them over here when they get big enough. Basically, you don't have to use any fertilizer if you do it this way, other than the goat manure and maybe a little bit of composted chicken manure mixed in. Not too much of that. It's mostly all hay and goat manure. And what we do is we mix it in and we put it here, plant our seedlings in it. It doesn't let weeds grow around your plants. Now that looks like, and you know, if you're like me, I just like to watch them grow. That looks like a pumpkin that got mixed in there, and I'll probably cut that out. It's just supposed to be tomatoes in here. But if you notice, they're all doing, look at that bee, that bumblebee, he's pollinating them now for us. They grow real good like this. And see, you can start to see we're getting tomatoes. Lots of blooms for tomatoes. And here's some nice ones for you to check out. Those are tomatoes on there. So take a look at it. You're going to get your an occasional, but look at what we use. See those goat pellets? And the good thing about goat manure is it won't burn your plants. You can't over fertilize with goat manure. You may have little things that pop up, like that's a weed, and that over there is a weed that you got to dig out. But overall, this is an excellent way to grow tomatoes. And now over here we have peppers, and you can see a little better the ground. Notice a lot of hay. This is more composted stuff, but look how thick the stalk is on that. These are going to grow some really good peppers. This is a mixed bed here. It's got some jalapenos, it's got some banana peppers, and maybe a couple of bells in here. But I just wanted to show you guys how we do that with the composted goat manure.